The desert sun, a malevolent eye, beat down on the ghillie suit, turning it into a personal furnace. Each bead of sweat trickling down my temple felt like a tiny betrayal, a signal flare to an enemy I couldn't see but knew was out there. Time warped and stretched, each second an eternity. The only sound was the rasp of my own breath and the frantic thumping of my heart, a drumbeat of anticipation and fear. The crosshairs danced, a restless ballet against the backdrop of shimmering heat haze. My finger, poised on the trigger, was a statue, carved from bone and patience. This wasn't a job, it was a penance, a slow burn in the crucible of duty. The world narrowed to the circle of my scope, a tunnel vision of life and death. In that small frame, a fly buzzed lazily around a discarded water bottle, oblivious to the drama unfolding around it. I envied its simplicity, its lack of awareness. My world was a tapestry woven with threads of consequence, each pull capable of unraveling lives. The wind shifted, carrying the scent of sage and something else, something acrid and unsettling, the ghost of gunpowder, perhaps, or the lingering aroma of fear. Hours bled into one another, the sun climbing higher, then beginning its slow descent. The landscape transformed from a harsh, unforgiving canvas to one painted with the soft hues of twilight. Shadows lengthened, stretching like grasping fingers across the sand. The air cooled, a momentary respite from the relentless heat. Still I waited. Still I watched. Still I held my breath. The desert held its breath with me, a silent accomplice in this deadly game. The memory arrived unbidden, a ghost from a life I thought I'd buried. A small, sun-drenched garden, overflowing with the scent of roses and honeysuckle. My grandmother, her hands gnarled with age, carefully tending her prize-winning blooms. She always said a garden was a reflection of the soul, a place where beauty could blossom even in the harshest conditions. Ironic, considering the landscape of my own soul these days. Barren and unforgiving. Her hands, those same hands that coax life from the earth, were the first to teach me about patience. "Slow down, child," she'd say, her voice a gentle whisper. "The best things in life take time to bloom." She'd show me how to prune a rosebush, carefully cutting away the deadwood to allow new growth to flourish. "Sometimes," she'd murmur, "you have to remove the darkness to let the light shine through." I never understood what she truly meant then, but now, lying prone in the sand, waiting for a target to appear, her words echoed in my mind with a chilling resonance. What darkness was I pruning now? And what light was I hoping to reveal? I remember her smile, the way her eyes crinkled at the corners, radiating a warmth that could melt the coldest heart. She saw something in me, something beyond the rough edges and the restless spirit. She believed in my potential, even when I doubted it myself. She used to tell me stories of her own life, of the hardships she had faced and the triumphs she had celebrated. Stories of resilience, of love, of unwavering hope. They were the stories that shaped me, the stories that gave me strength when I felt like giving up. One particular story stands out, a tale of her brother, lost in the Great War. He was a soldier, a young man full of dreams, sent to fight in a foreign land. He never came home. She told me of the letters he sent, filled with longing for home, for the simple pleasures of life. Letters that spoke of the horrors of war, the senseless violence, the crushing weight of loss. She kept those letters, tucked away in a small wooden box, a tangible reminder of the human cost of conflict. I remember holding that box, feeling the weight of history in my hands. It was a weight I now carry myself, a burden I can never truly escape. She never spoke ill of soldiers, even after losing her brother. She understood the complexities of duty, the sacrifices they made, the burdens they carried. She simply wished for a world where such sacrifices were no longer necessary. A world where gardens could flourish without the shadow of war hanging over them. That was her dream, a dream I desperately wanted to believe in, a dream that felt increasingly distant with each passing day. The image of her garden, once a sanctuary, now felt like a cruel taunt, a reminder of the innocence I had lost, the peace I could never reclaim. I closed my eyes for a moment, trying to conjure her face, to hear her voice. The desert wind whispers around me, carrying her memory on its breath. I open my eyes, refocus on the scope. The world sharpens, the crosshairs steady. The target is there. Block 3, the crosshairs settled on his chest. Not the general, but his son. A boy, barely a man, adjusting his father's camouflage netting, a nervous smile playing on his lips. Intel hadn't mentioned a son. Just the general. A strategic asset. A butcher. But this was different. Doubt, a cold serpent, coiled in my gut. The mission. The orders. The boy was collateral. Acceptable loss. That's what they called it. Acceptable. I squeezed the trigger. Not all the way. Just a tightening. A warning. A test. The boy looked up, startled, eyes scanning the horizon. My breath hitched. He looked so much like my brother before everything. The pressure on the trigger lessened. I was losing it. Protocol demanded precision, detachment. I was feeling. A sniper can't feel. The general emerged from the tent, barking orders, his face a mask of ruthless ambition. The boy straightened, his smile vanishing, replaced by a rigid obedience. He was a soldier already, molded in his father's image. The crosshairs drifted back to the general's chest. This was it. But the boy, he reached out, adjusting his father's collar, a fleeting moment of tenderness in a landscape of war. A father, a son. A distorted mirror of what I had lost. What I could never have again. My fingers slipped completely off the trigger. The general was moving, heading towards a jeep. The window of opportunity was closing. Command would be furious. But I couldn't do it. Not like this. Not with the boy there. The serpent of doubt had won. I radioed command, a terse, fabricated report of technical difficulties. They were furious. Demanded I hold my position. A backup team was en route. I ignored them. The general was gone. And with him, a piece of me. Block 4, the nightmares are always the same. The boy's face, superimposed over my brother's. The crosshairs blurring with tears I can't seem to shed. I wake up in a cold sweat, the phantom weight of the rifle still in my hands. They reassigned me after that. Desk job. Push papers. Analyze data. Anything to keep me away from a rifle. They said I was suffering from combat fatigue. They sent me to therapists who asked about my childhood, my dreams, my fears. They wanted to fix me. But how do you fix a broken soul? I see the boy's face everywhere. In the eyes of strangers, in the smiles of children. A constant, silent reminder of my failure. Of my humanity. Of the line I refuse to cross. The silence is the worst. The silence of the office, the silence of my apartment, the silence in my head, punctuated only by the echo of a heartbeat I wish would stop. I try to fill it with noise, music, television, anything to drown out the memories. But they always creep back in, insidious and relentless. Sometimes, late at night, I find myself staring at my reflection. A stranger stares back. A ghost of a man, haunted by the ghosts of others. The sniper is gone. Replaced by someone less. Someone weaker. Someone who hesitated. I still have the shakes sometimes. My hands tremble when I hold a cup of coffee, when I try to sign my name. A physical manifestation of the moral tremor that runs through my core. I try to hide it, but they see it. They all see it. The broken sniper. They gave me a medal for my service. A cold, heavy piece of metal that sits in a drawer, gathering dust. A reminder of a life I no longer recognize. A life I can never reclaim. The price of a single shot not taken. The weight of a life, spared and forever carried. The crosshairs danced on the empty patch of street. Hours bled into an eternity, the only sound the rhythmic thump of his own heart, a frantic drum against the oppressive silence. He hadn't seen the target, hadn't even seen a stray dog. Just nothing. A vacuum. And in that vacuum, the ghosts returned. Faces of the fallen, screams echoing in the sterile air of his mind. Each one a weight, pulling him down, threatening to drown him in the abyss of regret. Then, a flicker. A shadow detached itself from the crumbling wall. The man. Older, more stooped than the intelligence reports suggested. He moved with a weary resignation, each step a testament to a life lived hard. A life, not unlike his own. Through the scope he saw it. The small, almost imperceptible movement of the man's hand reaching inside his coat. The glint of metal. Not a weapon. A small, worn photograph. He brought it closer to his face, squinting in the fading light. A woman. A child. Smiling. A lifetime ago. His finger tightened on the trigger. He saw his own daughter's face superimposed over the child in the photograph. He heard her laughter, felt the warmth of her hand in his. A wave of nausea washed over him, a physical manifestation of the moral chasm yawning before him. This man, this target, was a father. A husband. A human being. Just like him. The order. The mission. The justification. They all crumbled into dust in the face of that simple photograph. He was supposed to be a weapon, a precision instrument of death. But weapons don't feel. Weapons don't remember. Weapons don't hesitate. He lowered the rifle. His hand trembled as he pulled the scope away from his eye. The world swam back into focus, sharper, more real than it had been for years. He saw the street, the crumbling buildings, the man walking slowly away, oblivious to his near-death experience. He saw a life. And he realized, with a clarity that pierced through the years of training and conditioning, that he couldn't take it. Not anymore. He disassembled the rifle, each movement deliberate, almost ritualistic. He carefully placed the pieces in the case, closing the lid with a soft click. The sound echoed in the silence, a final farewell to the life he was leaving behind. He stood up, his legs stiff and aching. He walked to the edge of the rooftop and looked out at the city. The sun was setting, painting the sky in hues of orange and purple. A breathtaking panorama of beauty and destruction. He took a deep breath, the air filling his lungs, cleansing him. He walked away, leaving the rifle case behind. He didn't know where he was going, what he would do. But he knew one thing. He was free. He walked into the crowd, another anonymous face in the sea of humanity. He didn't look back. He couldn't. He had a new mission now. To find his daughter. To tell her he was home. To try, somehow, to make amends for the years he had lost. To be a father. He found her in a small park, pushing her own daughter on a swing. The little girl's laughter filled the air, a melody of pure joy. He stood there, watching them, tears streaming down his face. He was a ghost, a shadow on the edge of their happiness. He took a step forward. His daughter turned. Her eyes widened, recognition dawning in her face. A lifetime of pain, of absence, flashed between them. "Dad?" she whispered, her voice trembling. He couldn't speak. He just nodded, his heart overflowing with a love he thought he had lost forever. His granddaughter stopped swinging, her eyes curious. She looked from her mother to the stranger standing before them. "Mommy, who is that?" she asked, her voice innocent and clear. His daughter knelt down, taking her daughter's hand. She looked at him, her eyes filled with a mixture of hope and fear. "This," she said, her voice choked with emotion. "This is your grandfather." He knelt down too, reaching out to touch his granddaughter's face. Her skin was soft, warm. Life. He felt a surge of hope, a fragile promise of redemption. "Hello?" he whispered, his voice hoarse. "My name is John." The little girl smiled. "Hello, John," she said. "Will you push me on the swing?" He looked at his daughter, a silent question in his eyes. She nodded, a single tear tracing a path down her cheek. He stood up, took the swing, and began to push. The little girl laughed, her voice echoing in the twilight. And in that moment, surrounded by the love of his daughter and granddaughter, he knew he was finally home. The war was over.